everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and search Today with Tally. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, your host of the evening, Mr. Brian Tally.
Welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast, where we add real life value to the lives of everyday people. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Anchor FM, Spotify, and About Face Radio. Simply search Today with Tally and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to get every episode and stay up to date with the latest and greatest our guests in this show has to offer. Folks, I would like to send a shout out and a very special thanks to today's show sponsor. Now, I want to tell you about a company that's based out of Canyon City, Colorado, called Chase's Choice. Chase's Choice is an industry leader in cannabis and hemp products and continues to heal those in need. Whether you are struggling from physical pain, anxiety, depression, or having trouble sleeping, there is a product for you that will improve your quality of life. Now, Ken, the founder at Chase's Choice, continues to engage in open conversation on the benefits of cannabis and hemp, CBD, CBG, CBN, THC, and all of the other cannabinoids found in the plant through extensive research and development. To learn more, visit Chase's Choice online today at chaseschoice.org. That's chaseschoice.org. Or call Ken, the owner, directly at 719-371-0768. That's 719-371-0768. Now, CBD was Chase's choice. What's yours? Remember to always consult with your doctor before starting any alternative medicine products, and always check with your state and local municipalities on the laws regarding the use of CBD and hemp products. Folks, we have a very special guest joining us on today's program. Now, let me set this one up. Now, we have Bill Brown that's going to be joining us here momentarily. Now, he is a U.S. Navy SEAL veteran, and he is also the founder of the NYC SEAL Swim that is put on every year around the August timeframe in New York City, where they begin in New Jersey, and they have a bunch of SEALs that gather from all over the country. They swim out to the Statue of Liberty, then off to Ellis Island, and then they finish the swim in Manhattan, where they do a flag run, a motivational run, if you will, to the World Trade Center to remember those fallen heroes on that September day, 9/11, and they remember all the bloodshed that has been lost over the last 20 years in wars, as we have fought on with the war on terror. And what Bill has done is extremely honorable, and he has gained tremendous momentum over the years, and bringing so much awareness to not only the veteran community, but the military community in general, as well as sharing the camaraderie with his fellow Navy SEALs as they participate in something that is so much greater than them. And then, like I said, giving back to the greater good. And with that, I am so honored to be joined by Bill Brown, U.S. Navy SEAL veteran. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing? It's great to see you, Brian. It's an honor to be here. Brian, I don't know if your viewers know this, but you are a true veterans champion, a true veterans advocate who's had significant victories for us as far as giving us added protections and protections against medical malpractice in the VA hospitals. And it's an honor really to talk to you. I'm a big fan.
And that feeling is absolutely mutual. I started this podcast in late August of 2022. And it was something that God put on my heart. And today you are episode 123. And I've been doing this for 7 months now. And like I said, this program has grown so fast. And we have reached the hearts and minds of so many folks out there because of people like you. I've had tremendous guests, and and everything that you do too in the military and veteran community. And guys, there's a lot more to this guy that we're going to find out here shortly. He's not just a Navy SEAL veteran; he's also a lawyer, and he's also a veteran advocate who has a very, very big following on LinkedIn and really across the country in general when it comes to veterans' rights and again, policy and that advocacy. Because if it's not for folks like me and like Bill and all the other fellow advocates out there, I don't know where we would be in the veteran community, when it comes to, the VA and everything else like that. So, man, let's get started. You are you started a GoFundMe, and what you're trying to do right now is you're trying to generate some funds to create a documentary. Now, right now on your GoFundMe, you guys have raised about $9,500, and you're looking at a $50,000 goal to hit. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're raising this money and where it's going to go to?
Yes, because I believe it's really important to get the stories, the background stories of some of the guys who come across from all parts of the country to partake in the New York City SEAL Swim. I think it brings a message of patriotic, a positive message of patriotism that our country needs to see more of. And you think about these guys who come from as far as California, as far as Texas, Florida, from all parts, all four corners of our country, even Hawaii. Bill Branham is a SEAL who comes from Hawaii every year, the last 2 years. And they come to this event on their own dime. They fly there and they swim across the Hudson in New York City, which is one of the most dangerous rivers in the country, definitely one of the most dirtiest rivers in the country. It's a kick-ass event. And every year they do this for a couple reasons. One is to help raise money for veterans, good causes. This year, the Navy SEAL Foundation is the beneficiary. The other reason is they want to send a positive message, and it exemplifies the true character of the men in the SEAL teams. And you think about the last couple years, they've been tough years. You had a lot of negative media out there about the SEAL teams for various reasons, trying to paint a picture that's not true. And every year you got guys stepping up, going out of the way to try to help other veterans and send a positive message. And I don't think there's any better example. There's any better example to show, look, here's the guys going out of the way to make a positive difference for our community and for other veterans. And you know what? If veterans don't look out for each other, nobody will. Mm-hmm. And so the other thing it does, it's true grassroots, Brian. It's just like your successful advocacy. When it's grassroots, it's true. And I mean, what you have here is you have police officers and firefighters coming together to make this event. And I can tell you, we've done some really beautiful things. The first year, the logistics, a lot of people said it was impossible, but we did it. And then one of the other things we did is we got Eddie Gallagher got acquitted. As far as how we felt, a majority of us in the community, we felt what was happening to him. He was getting railroaded. You look as far as the NCIS, they were tapping into his lawyers' phones and everything else. They definitely had their hand on the scale. Lady Justice was not blind, and somehow he had a great attorney, Tim Parlatore, and he was able to get acquitted. And it's not the first time they tried to railroad a team guy. You got Matt McCabe as well. You guys probably don't know about what happened in Fallujah, but in Fallujah, some guys in Blackwater and some previous team guys got ambushed, and their bodies were desecrated in a very horrific and horrible manner. And Matt McCabe had the honor of leading the snatch and grab to get the mastermind behind that. And the guy tried to sing some story about how he was beaten up while he was detained, and that was a complete falsity, slanderous, and yet some political hacks. They tried to prosecute him. He demanded court-martial to basically stand up for his name, and he was successful. And so Matt McCabe does the swim like almost every year. So the first year you had Matt McCabe, you have Eddie didn't want to do the swim because he didn't want to bring negative attention to it the first year, but he was there at the end at the World Trade Center, and we all got around him and took a group picture, and that picture got out there, and I think it was a way to show a lot of people in the community how a lot of guys felt about what was happening, because we got to look out for each other, and it's really important to look out for each other when it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the beautiful things we did. And then you look about one of the things that happened with COVID, right? They were telling us everything else was getting shut down. New York and New Jersey, they were heavily enforcing COVID mandates, right? But we moved forward. We did the event, a successful event, and this is a huge successful event every year. There's a lot of logistics involved in getting 100+ Navy SEALs and patriots and veterans across that water safely. Would have never happened without the police, New Jersey State Police, NYPD, PAPD. It's just the FDNY, the amount of the Bayonne Fire Department, the amount of level of support that we have. And it's kind of funny because the guys who make this swim and ladies who make this swim, guess what? They're police officers, they're firefighters, they're prior veterans, right? We looked out for each other. And so in COVID, guess what? We showed a positive example, again, of veterans doing well, the SEAL teams doing well, and getting through life as normal, celebrating our country, celebrating our freedoms. And so there's a lot of things I'm really proud of. And the other thing, the event would have never happened without the support of the NJSP, NYPD, PAPD. Would have never happened without them. And so guess what? During the whole defund movement, you know what we did? We showed our love. Our shorts said NYPD, NJSP, PAPD. We wanted to let everybody know where we stood on that whole argument, right? Because here were our brothers in blue that everybody was painting in a picture that wasn't true. Can you imagine? And we can identify this because they did the same thing to our brothers in Vietnam. They try to paint this picture of our brothers in Iraq and even some of the things that happened with some of the contractors in Blackwater over there. They try to, these Monday morning quarterbacks that can't understand anything, they try to paint good men in a bad light. And, if you're going to risk your life for this country, it's out of love and sacrifice, right? And you want to be proud of your uniform. And we saw what was happening to the police officers, that the same men and women that support our event, and so we stood by them. So I'm really proud of that. One of the other great things that we did, a beautiful thing, is that, we respect that COVID hit a lot of people hard. It had a huge stress on this country and our lives and our families' lives. And there's not one person I know that hasn't had a hard time dealing with it one way or another. And you think about all our freedoms and civil liberties that were basically kind of restrained by some of that. Like, listen, to tell you the truth, if you didn't get vaccinated, you didn't get a job in a lot of places. If you didn't wear a mask, you couldn't travel. Some businesses got shut down. We know how dangerous it was for doctors and nurses and those in the medical field. So guess what? We gave them love. We had a contingent of SEALs that went to Jersey City Medical Center, and another contingent of SEALs that I led that went to Cooper University Hospital in South Jersey. And we did a push-up salute for those doctors and nurses to let them know that we respect their courage. We respect their love and coming into work in a very dangerous environment, because there were times where, especially in New York and New Jersey, where the numbers were not good. And so, we gave love back to those, because we respect, in the SEAL teams, we respect those with courage. It's one of the reasons why I respect you so much, Brian, for stepping up and having the courage to go against a system that was really railroading veterans. And, you talk about victories. I don't know. It's got to have a glorious victory to know that you have an act the Brian Talley VA Employment Transparency Act, named after you, and all the good work that does for veterans. And I definitely want to get into that. One of the other beautiful things we did is always try to have the event as close as I can to the anniversary of Extortion 17, because that's a big loss in our community. And it's one of the ways, in the SEAL teams, one of the ways that we give respect is we give intense workouts to those we respect and love that were lost. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of the Murph, but, and that's kind of what we kind of do here. And Brian Bill was a friend of mine. He was in my last platoon, and he was, unfortunately, I had a couple friends that got lost on that op. And so one of the beautiful things we were able to do for his family is before on literally the 10th anniversary of Extortion 17, his father, Scott Bill, and his brother, Morgan Bill, jumped live on the air with the Leapfrogs, and Fox News, Pete Hegseth, and helped me put it together. A guy named Ben Batazzi, a SEAL with the Leapfrogs, and another SEAL named Kenny Callahan helped me put that together. But think of the beautiful tribute we did to honor Brian and his family. His brother, who swam with us to honor his brother, and his father jumped live on the air literally on the 10th anniversary in the Liberty State Park, live on Fox News. That's a beautiful thing we did. Another beautiful thing we did is Remington Peters was a SEAL, and he was on the Leapfrogs. And in Fleet Week 2017, he had a mid-air malfunction, basically had a cigarette roll, and he wasn't able to fix his malfunction in time, and he died. Now, he died. He was supposed to jump into Liberty State Park. So he positioned himself that he would land in the marina so that he wouldn't hurt or injure anybody in the city and so that's what he did. It was a beautiful man who, to the very end, he did what he could to protect others, right? And so one of the things we did to honor him and honor his family is the Leapfrogs, the first time they jumped back in to Liberty State Park was for my swim, right? And guess what? When they first touched down, I had a group of guys with American flags around the Leapfrogs when they touched down. And after they got their chutes off, we all did push-ups, honor push-ups to honor Remington Peters. And so these are just a few of the things that a lot of people don't know about the swim that I'm extremely, extremely proud of. Now, one of the cool things is I call it adventure therapy, right? There's a lot of portrayals of veterans out there not doing well. But the truth is, there's a lot of veterans out there that are kicking ass and doing great. And one of the things I try to show is I love doing these events, these fun kind of events, because you're around a bunch of good people, you're having a good time, and guess what? It's for a great cause. And I can tell you this, I can't tell you how badass it feels to be swimming next to the Statue of Liberty with so many great Americans. I'm talking, it's just so many SEALs, so many guys from different special forces, police officers, firefighters. It's like when you look at the Secret Service guys, FBI guys, like when you look at the roster of the individuals that are in the water with you, Olympians, that's what makes this event so beautiful. And then we're doing honor push-ups and pull-ups, right? We do 100 honor push-ups at the Statue of Liberty and 22 honor pull-ups for our nation's freedoms and civil liberties. So check this out, Brian. I'm doing these pull-ups. Statue of Liberty is right there. And I got all these beautiful men and women who've done so much for our country. It's like, it energizes me. It's like to see like Statue of Liberty and the Freedom Torch right there. It's just holding it high. It's just amazing. And then we get in the water, we swim to Ellis Island, and you think about all the Americans, all the different millions of people that got processed through there, came from different parts of the world for a better life, right? And we do 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups there to honor our nation's diversity and all the men and women who came to our country for a better life. It's a beautiful thing. And you look around, and there's so many beautiful people there, and it's just like, so much work. This event, putting this together, is so much work. But every year when I look around at these different events and I see the joy in these guys and these ladies, and it just, especially with the last couple of years, how what a vice everything has been on everybody. You got all these, it's like the politicization of our country, COVID. It's been really tough, you know, and so uplifting when good people together doing good. It's just, then we get in the water. We do that long stretch right across the Hudson, and she's no joke, man. And to get to South Cove Marina from Ellis Island, it's a short runway. It's a no BS swim, right? Because if you undershoot, guess what happens? You're going to be right at the entrance of the East River. And if you overshoot, you're going to find yourself getting pushed all the way uptown. So it's a serious kick-ass event. You got to be prepared. You got to train up for it. But let me tell you, I use Freedom Tower as like my reference point. I swim right up on her. It's a beautiful thing. You get up there, all these American flags, you get a full head count, hold American flags real high, and then guess what? We're running into the World Trade Center in Manhattan, New Jersey. And I got the FDNY Pipers. As soon as we hit World Trade Center, they're playing for us as we enter. Like, you think about that. You hold American flags, or some of the biggest pipe hitters this country's ever produced. Like, guys who put in serious work for years and years and years for this country, risking their life over and over again, right? I call it the guardian spirit. Police officers, firefighters, all these guys and gals from the military just coming in there holding flags, you know, and then we do our last set of honor push-ups and pull-ups right there at Ground Zero World Trade Center. And what do? Right? We got, it's at the first responder statue there in the World Trade Center, where they got a guy with a horse with an M4 and a 203 grenade launcher. And basically he symbolizes the JTAC guys and the CIA contractors that basically were called in air support by working with the Northern Alliance to take down the Taliban initially, right? And so that's in the background. You got the skyline of New York City there. You're on hollow ground. It's Ground Zero World Trade Center, and we do our last set of honor push-ups and pull-ups, 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups for all those who put it on the line for a country, all those lost in 9/11, and all those lost in extortion 17. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And then what we do after we do that, we have some really powerful speakers, guys who come to swim that lost loved ones on 9/11, very prominent Navy SEALs who were leaders in the community. And it makes I can tell you, it's an experience that anyone who does the event never forgets. And then we have a moment of reflection. We grab our American flags again. We walk down to the reflection ponds there that were basically outlines of the formation of the two towers. And we take all our flags, we go all around the reflection ponds and just kind of have a couple moments of reflection just to take it in. And then we decon and we party our asses off and we have a great time. And it's a kick-ass fun event. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is our country, and Pete Hegseth from Fox News and Fox and Friends, and Will Kane's doing it this year, and Carl Higbee is a friend of mine. He's a SEAL with Newsmax. They've all promoted this event big time. Pete has put this thing into the stratosphere. I'll always be grateful for his support and friendship on that. And it's one of the messages out there that a country needs more of. The country needs to be reminded of how many great people that we have in this country that have committed so much for our country. And that's one of the things I'm trying to show, putting together basically a docu-series to highlight some of these amazing and beautiful Americans that come and participate in this event. And that's really what I'm trying to do. But I just think, it's kind of special. I don't know how long, because it's very extensive. I don't know how long it can continue. And I just want to make sure it's out there for people to see a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, you've set this up wonderfully here, Bill. And folks, ladies and gentlemen, we are being joined by Bill Brown, who is the founder of the NYC SEAL Swim, as well as a U.S. Navy SEAL veteran, lawyer, and veteran advocate. Right now, he is on a mission, folks, and you can help today. He is on a mission to raise money to keep the NYC SEAL Swim going, and they want to create a documentary. They want to highlight America's finest men and women. They want to tell us stories of America's patriots that have sacrificed so much for our country that oftentimes gets overlooked and remains in the shadows. And Bill is a man, again, on a mission. Now, I challenge you all today to do one thing. When you're sitting at your office or when you get home or whatever you may be, go to Google, and I want you to Google Fox and Friends NYC SEAL Swim. From August of 22, Bill and 4 of his fellow Navy SEAL veterans sat down on Fox and Friends and were interviewed by Pete Hegseth. Now, this is a very quick, it's a 5-minute piece, and it highlights everything about what Bill does. And it tells you where they start, where they finish, from start to finish, to the flag run, to the reflection, and everything. And so you will know where your money is going. I mean, this is a very transparent type fundraiser that he is doing. Well, how do you donate? Simple. Go to GoFundMe. Type in NYC SEAL Swim. It'll pop up. There's been about $9,500 raised right now. They are looking at a $50,000 goal to hit as soon as possible so they can begin this documentary and they can begin to connect the dots and put all these pieces together, all these puzzle pieces together to bring the vision, if you will, of what Bill has in mind. Now, I want to do some quick fire stuff with you because I've got tons of questions here. And so, the program goes for about 1 hour, but, let's take this next 33 minutes. Let's do a bunch of Q&A. Let's do some quick fire shots. And, so we can kind of paint this picture on what our viewers, are trying to picture in their head, if you will. And you brought up a lot of good points. Charles Strange, Gold Star father, great friend of mine, great friend of the program.
Great friend of mine.
Extortion 17. And that's how we've been connected. And it's been a great connection. That is a truly, truly, truly good man. And again, my heart goes out to all those that we lost on that fateful day in Extortion 17. So I know what you guys are doing. I mean, you're out doing God's work, man. You're really bringing people together. And you gave me goosebumps.
One of the things about Charlie is one of the things like I'm friends with David Goggins. I'm in his books, Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished. But one of the things that his message, David Goggins' book, and his message that I get is that the most beautiful thing someone can do is take a horrible loss, horrible pain, and use that energy, right? And to just what you did, Brian, to something good, right? To help others, to use that, right? And just like you did now, as far as, veterans now that are been victims of medical malpractice, and how there's different entities out there that are trying to cover things up. And unfortunately, it's a case in the VA, a repeated pattern that it blossoms over and over again. And here you are, it's basically you're cutting off those dark flowers, man, saying now veterans, because of your act, your courage, what happened to you, now veterans know right away, hey, I better get a lawyer. I need to get a lawyer. I know right away, guess what, if this is a federal claim or if it's a state claim, I need the bad actor, if he's a federal actor, if he's a state actor. And from a lawyer's perspective, that's their roadmap for legal redress. So they can't try to game you out of being financially compensated for your loss because of their negligence. This is what happened with you. They game the system so you disclose the information after your statute of limitations is ran, right? It's BS. And here you were a champion, and you'll never know how many other veterans you help. But I tell you what, in my eyes, man, you are a veteran champion. And I love what Charlie's doing because it's the same thing. A horrible loss. And the most beautiful thing I love about Charlie is his foundation that helps other Gold Star families, right? That's what I love about him the most. Now, he's got, let me tell you, I also respect courage, and you had courage, and he has courage. And he's got some questions about some of the things that went down over there. And God knows I can never say a good man like him doesn't have a right to ask questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that happen with him where they try to basically do different things to try to deter him from asking questions is not right. And we're talking about some federal agencies here. And I tell you what, that's not the right thing to do by them. And so, yeah, let me tell you, man, to me, the most important thing, the beauty is in the guys and gals out there just doing the grind. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so, honored to be on this show. I think about, I'm talking to a guy who literally has a federal act in his name because you stood up and your family stood up and said this wasn't right, and we're going to do everything we can for it not to happen to us. And I knew this guy when I became a veterans advocate when I started going to college, and because I had, guess what, I ran into some liberal professors. I started a group called Veterans for Education at Rutgers, and the Student Government Association wouldn't fund me. Like, it was a complete shit show, really. And I had a Vietnam veteran, and he reminds me of you. And his name was Al Buki, and he was big in the New Jersey VFW. And they had my back because Rutgers has a lot of pull in New Jersey. And but he showed me how to work on a state level, not as big as accomplishments you had on a federal level, but we got a few things done on the state level. But he said, I'm never going to let what they did to me and my brothers, them do it to you. Mm-hmm. As far as some of the way those liberal professors were stirring up their students against me and my group. And those guys had my back. And I love that's one of the things that you're doing here, right? Like, man, you stepped up in a big time, man. You really should be proud of yourself.
I mean, those are some very big words to hear from a guy that I sincerely look up to you and everything that you've done. So it is extremely heartfelt, and I can't thank you enough for mentioning that. And I just turned pain into purpose. I mean, it was if not me, who, right? And so one of my main things is, when I thought about it, I said 10 years from now, what am I going to think about me quitting? And so in my most weakest and vulnerable time in need, I drafted a bill, didn't have a congressman, showed up to DC, walked those halls of Congress, going door to door, urging lawmakers to do the right thing. And 3.5 years later and 4 bills, I mean, we had law, and, it closed a 74-year VA legal loophole that was bulletproof, and we're not done. I'm working with Congressman Morgan Luttrell right now on more bills
That's a big name.
that will further add legal protection. And look at my shirt. It's transparency, it's accountability, and it's veterans' rights. We're not asking for much here. We're just asking to be treated like citizens, right? Like veterans. Just treat us like you would treat anybody else. We're not asking for anything special here. We're just asking for transparency, some accountability, and to protect those who have served our great nation. Now, I want to know a little bit more about this swim, because like you said, it's a dirty river. It is a dangerous river. It's got currents. If you don't if you don't swim it right, you're going to get swept down, and you're going to have a hard time swimming upstream to where you got to go. But I want to know, when everybody comes in from across the country, what's that moment of camaraderie feel like?
It's, what it's like? It's like, being on a long deployment and you come back and your girlfriend, your wife runs up and gives you a big hug, right? It's that feeling of, I'm home with the people I love. And that's really it. And when you see, because there's so much stuff out there trying to paint people in a picture that's not true, and that's really it. When I see the guys getting when they finish that last leg, and it's a kick-ass swim, bro, and it's an event. It's not an easy event. It's meant to be hard, man, and it is. And when I see them get on the in South Coast Marina in Manhattan, in Lower Manhattan there, and they're buzzing, man. You see that their eyes are wide and they're buzzing, they're hugging each other, huge smiles on their faces. It's and the girls too, and everybody's just they know that what we're out here doing good, being good people, and just celebrating our country, our freedoms, our civil liberties, and our life. And that's one of the when we talk about one of the things I think that was pretty amazing with you is you took action and you were successful. And I think, well, what are the common denominators in that? And one of the things I think you have a gift is you have the ability to talk with people across party lines and under civil discourse. And I think that's such a beautiful gift that unfortunately, in our country, we're missing a lot of it now, and it's almost like, if you're a different political ideology, like all of a sudden, like my instinct should be that I'm adverse to you, but I don't think that's the right way. But I think that's the way it's getting pushed out there, like, oh, you're not a good American because you think this way, or your political ideas are this way. Like, look, we're all different, right? But that's what makes us beautiful, our diversity and our, and everything. And that includes our political perspectives, and I don't hold it against anybody. And I think that's one of the things that you were able to beautifully do. And so I'm trying to kind of put this message out there as like, hey, you definitely had the courage to stand up. You did stand up and you took action, but you were tactically aware enough that you realize, look, I got it. People are people, and we got to reach across and talk to each other. And we need more of that. And so I hope that other veterans advocates and get out there and do the same thing, because we have to fight. Like 100%, we have to fight, but we got to and stick up for ourselves, because if not, if you didn't stand up, that would happen to hundreds of other veterans. And now that changed, Now they can't run out that clock on the statute of limitations if it's a state actor and a veteran gets screwed. Like and because the deterrent theory of torts is the reason why we have seatbelts. You got to hold accountability bad actors. And so that's a beautiful thing you did. I want to tell you about something that me and a couple SEALs did that a lot of people don't know about, that we had some success in a small way in the Richard Stayskull Act. And I know that's one of the, his attorney, right?
Yeah. Natalie Quam, she's a good friend of mine. And I also know Richard as well.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what happened with Richard and the act? And then I'll tell you a little backdoor scene me and a couple other SEALs played that I think played a significant role.
So what Stayskull was up against, he was an active duty Green Beret, and he ended up getting lung cancer that went undiagnosed, undetected through several physicals that he had, but the evidence was all there. It was just all overlooked. Now, law from the 1950s is called the Ferris Doctrine, and the Ferris Doctrine pretty much serves as clear immunity to anybody that is working in any military hospital across the country. They say, well, you sign up as a member of the military, so you cannot hold us accountable while you are serving. So there's two things in play here. There's veterans in the VA, which you can sue. And then if you're military, active duty military, there's the Ferris Doctrine that prevents you from suing because of the clear immunity that they have. So what Richard did is he found Natalie Quam, and Natalie helped draft a bill, and it was passed in the National Defense Authorization Act, I believe in 2019, perhaps. I think it was 2019, 2020. And, what it does is it set aside some money to help settle some of these claims of medical malpractice that either caused death or soon to be death or complete physical loss. And, they made history as well there. And now would you like to take over?
Sure. So, Natalie Quam, we knew about each other in a couple different avenues. And we were talking, and she asked for me if I would be interested in coming on board to help with some of those cases. Now, I'm with my firm at McCarter & English, and my firm decided that maybe that wasn't the best fit. So I kind of had to pass. And trust me, it's not something I wanted to pass on. But I don't know, she was involved and indirectly in some of the things regarding General Petraeus. And I don't want to get too much into that. But she is, I think the right word to say is wicked smart. And she's a champion kick-ass for veterans. But one of the things that happened was, I'm tied. I call it the SEAL Mafia, right? I'm tied into it a little bit. And so one of my friends that's very involved in the swim, so I kind of have a couple of SEAL consigliaries that have helped me out with this event. Bill DeWild, Shane McKenzie, Stephen Brown. We call him Scuba Brown, right? Or we just call him Scuba, right? But so that from the get-go, these guys in the SEAL community that have basically high-level enlisted or former enlisted SEALs that really came to bat for me in a big way, in a lot of levels, all in the background and always making sure operationally I had my eye on the ball. But I reached out and I'm talking and I'm saying about what's going on with Richard Stay School. And turns out that one of the resistance to that whole movement was Lindsey Graham, who is a senator. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that found out was that he was going to come talk at the Citadel. And through my buddy Scuba Steve, found out that there was a SEAL there who worked there. Now they weren't going to ambush Lindsey Graham. So I reached out to Natalie and I said, hey, I can get you a seat up front row at this event at the Citadel where Lindsey Graham will be speaking, and he'll get the first question and he'll get a Q&A with Lindsey Graham directly about basically overturning the Ferris Doctrine. And so one of the things that happened was Lindsey Graham's my contacts at the Citadel through the SEAL community reached out to Lindsey Graham's people. They talked, and Lindsey Graham was a man of his word. He said, all right. He said, I'll talk to him face to face in front of everybody at the Citadel. That's the truth. And because, they weren't going to just ambush them. They were, they did the right thing. Hospitality is the right way to do things. And so then I reached out to Natalie, and it looked like it was going to be a go. But then things turned out, and Richard wasn't going to be able to make it. And I think it had to do with some medical appointments. And Natalie asked me, she said, hey, can you reach out to Lindsey Graham's people and see if they'd be willing to have a face-to-face sit-down with Richard in D.C.? And I did, and they gave the green light, and they said yes. And then she ran with the football from there, and they did have a face-to-face meeting. And it's my belief and interpretation that after that meeting, that Lindsey Graham changed his position on that, and that's one of the reasons why it went through. Mm-hmm. So that's how the SEAL community indirectly played an influence on it. And my buddy Scuba Steve, he swims. He's a very avid swimmer, and he does this a thing called Swim Across America, where he swims, does all these swimming events, and raises money to help fight cancer. So he's a champion of that. So that's indirectly how, and I forget the SEAL's name that was at the Citadel, but there you have 3 SEALs that indirectly had influence, and Richard getting a face-to-face sit down with Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham, that helped change his position on that whole act. Because his position, from my interpretation, was like the slippery slope argument. Like, all right, if very worried about if you make this a carve out on the Federal Tort Claim Act for medical malpractice for active duty service members, then what's next type of thing. And, don't want to open up the federal government to all types of civil liability.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just want that's all true statements. It's out there. And I think it's something that indirectly the SEAL community played a very small part, but we did play a part in advocacy. And one of the things I was also proposing, it's out there on the web, is having like a similar event in Washington, D.C. And Natalie helped have a couple conference calls with a couple different influential people and different congressional staffers at different congressional representatives. But we were going to have a similar type of event in D.C. that we did in New York City, where we'd go to all these different iconic landmarks, swim across the Potomac, and then we'd have an event at the Capitol building and have a couple people like Richard get up there and talk. But one of the things I realized is, one, that type of event, I would have to organize something like that. I would have to be in D.C. because it's similar to here being in New York City or New Jersey. To get that type of movement and the nods you need to get that type of thing to happen, because you're crossing 2 different states and all different federal monuments. It takes a lot of intensive type of logistic planning, and I didn't have the capability to do that from this side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the truth. That's all real advocacy that we played a very small part of.
Love it. And you're a lawyer, and you're in this fight, day in and day out. A veteran, a very well-known veteran, and now you've dedicated your life to this, Navy SEAL Swim. You're the founder of it. It's going great. And now you want to do more. You want to give back more. You want to create documentaries to share the stories and the adventures and the journeys of some of America's finest men and women. And folks, how can you help? That's why we're here. Support Bill's mission today. Go to GoFundMe, search NYC SEAL Swim documentary. They've raised $9,500, and today we can raise more. Open up your wallet, open up your heart, and they're looking for $50,000 to begin this documentary. And I guarantee you it will be money well spent in giving back to a vulnerable and at-risk community that does deserve to be featured in this documentary that Bill Brown has this vision of. This guy is a servant. I mean, he's given a lifetime of service, and I believe that our nation owes him a debt of gratitude, as well as what he can put together and strategize into a very significant documentary that may even save lives, and that may even help turn the lives around of so many veterans out there that are at risk for suicide and other obstacles that stand in their way. But again, we all decide to get 1% better. And as soon as you start to get that 1% better, you will start to see your life change. But it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up in the face of adversity and take life head on, even in your weakest, most vulnerable time in need. And that's what's so special about this event that Bill puts on. It's the camaraderie. It's the brother and the sisterhood of everybody coming together, like-minded patriots that are sharing in this swim, in this moment. And I tell you, people look forward to this every single year. Now, Bill, we got about 10 minutes left on this program. It's just gone by so fast. And I also want to share your LinkedIn page. Folks, you can connect with Bill Brown on LinkedIn. Just Google or just go there and do a search at William Brown, and you will see former Navy SEAL. He does not have a picture on his LinkedIn account, but just go there at William Brown, and you'll see former Navy SEAL. That is going to be your correct one. You can go ahead and you can send them a private message. You can engage with them. You can find out more about how you can.
Ryan, I do have a picture. LinkedIn has shadow banned me before. They make it so my picture's not seen.
Oh, okay. Well, just want to let the people know that there won't be a picture, so they know that they're on the right one. So as of now, there's no picture, so they know. Oh yeah, hey, look, that must be it right there. But
you know what? That brings me to something else that's real important. Because one of the things we talk about is courage, right? And one of the things is that courage can, it can be, it can spread, it can motivate others. And so one of the reasons why LinkedIn shadow banned me and things like that before, and one of the games they're playing now where my picture's not publicly seen, is that during this swim last year, during COVID, I had not a lot, but I had a few friends, that outspoken SEALs, right? Guys who put it on the line for our country numerous times for years and years and years. They spoke up about some of the COVID mandates. And some of these guys had their businesses, basically they had different businesses, and their IG accounts, their social media accounts got shut down. And I believe in freedom of speech. It's very important to me, right? It's the reason why it's the First Amendment. And so I felt obligated, why I had a little bit of time on limelight for the swim to speak up on their behalf. And you'll see Jason Redman and I and a couple other SEALs, we talk about some of that stuff. We talk about, look, a lot of these court cases, we want to talk about the Ferris Doctrine, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, you had Supreme Court judges overextend the Federal Torts Act because the way the wording is in the language isn't right with it, doesn't fit with the interpretation where they overexpanded the reach to the protections, to the adversity of veterans and active duty service members, especially active duty service members for that. And it's the same thing that's happened in these courts with some of these cases regarding, big tech, basically shutting down freedom of speech. Now, freedom of speech is protected by the government from government infringements on speech, right? Unless, guess what? It's a joint action with the government and a private entity. Now, that's one of the ways that they were able to basically shoot down these challenges. But you look what happened with Elon Musk now and with Twitter, and he basically put it out there in a spotlight for everybody to see that there was absolutely joint action. And guess what? A lot of these judges, they didn't do the right thing, in my opinion, right? They didn't, because it's plain to most reasonable people that there was absolutely joint action, right? Mm-hmm. And people's freedom of speech was being infringed, especially in the SEAL community, because a lot of guys, beautiful Americans, were cautious, and we're not the biggest fans of all these infringements on freedom of speech, freedom of commerce, and even freedom of movement, and where basically you're telling what businesses can stay open and what businesses can't. And so they were outspoken about that, and they had their voice shut down on social media. And so that's one of the things I did last year, is I spoke up on their behalf, because I wouldn't feel right if I knew it was an issue and I didn't address it when I had the chance. So yeah, LinkedIn shut me down for a little bit. Then they put me back up, and now I'm back up, and people can't see my picture. So it's one of the games big tech plays. But you know what? Beautiful mediums like yours and people like you who have the courage to stand up and do and continue grassroots, like here your podcast is true grassroots. And one time when I was an undergrad, I ambushed President McCormick, who was the president of Rutgers, at his annual address. And basically I had a bunch of veterans with me, and there was hundreds of people in that room. And I spoke up about the inadequacies for veterans at Rutgers. And I had And I had a couple sit downs with him afterwards. And there's been a lot of improvements made at Rutgers. I don't want to go into it because it'll take a long time. But one of the things he said to me is he says, well, what do you want me to do? Because I said, look, you don't actively recruit veterans. Their graduation rates are really low. Like you're not, you're not looking out for veteran students. And he's basically, hey, what do you want me to do? And I said, hey, do this. Do the same thing, the same actions you took to try to increase recruitment and graduation rates for minority students, because you've been very successful. Rutgers has been very successful at that. And that is a beautiful thing. But do the same thing for veterans. And that's one of the things that we need to show is having positive role models. Veterans out there kicking ass. Veterans out there doing good, having fun. And so that's one of the things that this swim tries to do. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do with this docuseries is get that message out there. Look, here's some beautiful men and women, put it on the line for our country, and they're out there doing good, kicking ass. And
Right.
That's what I'm asking for help for.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because oftentimes we hear about everything that's wrong in the community, but this is everything that's right about the community. And that's what I love about it. And, I mean, and like I said, everything you're doing is, it's awesome, man. It's truly honorable. It's admirable. It's unique. It's fun. It's what you guys do. Go swim, go run, go do pull-ups, go do push-ups, and contribute in a positive way in our society. Contribute in a positive way where people could look upon you for leadership and for encouragement and everything they need. All those hallmarks out there that are out there for the taking. Yeah, we all have tools, right? And if you don't know how to use those tools or know where the tools are at or accessible, it can be tough. But that's what you guys do. That's what you do. You're there. As a huge support system, as a support structure, and like I said, for that weekend, that one weekend of the year, man, that truly marks something that's very special. Not only for you, but in the Navy SEAL community, as well as the veteran and military community. But man, we have covered so much here. I mean, we've been at this for 58 minutes. It seems like we just started 5-10 minutes ago. But unfortunately, this program's 1 hour. and I'd love to have you back, man. We could just talk about just one topic. We could talk about, legal stuff. We could talk about policy. We could talk about Navy SEAL stuff. We could talk about your swim and your documentary. I mean, you have got a lot in the fire right now. And I love your energy. And again, I love your patriotism. And again, I appreciate the friendship. And this is something that I will definitely hold near and dear to my heart and continue to nurture as time moves forward. But folks, once again, I just want to let everybody know that Bill Brown, this awesome Navy SEAL veteran, is the founder of the NYC SEAL Swim. Now, he's raising money for a documentary. So I urge you to go to GoFundMe today and type in NYC SEAL Swim documentary. And if you can, open up your heart and your wallets today to go donate to a good cause. I challenge you to do that. And again, it's going to be going to a great documentary, again, that will highlight America's finest men and women. And without further ado, Bill, thank you so much for joining us on today's program. And I sincerely appreciate everything you have done and continue to do in the military and veteran and first responder community. Your service, your sacrifice, and your dedication to our great nation is truly admirable.
Same at you, 100%. You're a hero, Brian. You're a hero, man. You did something beautiful. You took a horrible incident that could have broken most people, and you turned that into something beautiful to help others. So I salute you, man.
Wow, that means, I'm getting goosebumps right now hearing that from him, man. Such as yourself, I don't even know what to say other than thank you so much. And it did break me. It broke me for many, many, many years, until one day I knew my kids were watching, and I knew I needed to stand up, and I needed to take action and fight for what's right. And that's exactly what I did, as I continue to get 1% better to this day. But folks, remember to stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Until next time, for Today with Tally, this is Brian Tally. Good night, Semper Fi.